Hey guys, sorry if my voice sounds off. I have strep throat and I'm tired. So if it sounds a bit off or is a bit quiet, that explains what's up. I just finished the first day of finals and tomorrow is my birthday and last day of school and last day of finals. So we're over here vibing. For y'all, it'll be yesterday because I'm posting this Wednesday, which is the day after my birthday. Time is funky, y'all. Time is funky. But anyways, on with the story. 15 Going on 5 by JLHB, read by Kiwi. Chapter 4, Shopping Shenanigans. Summary. They go to the mall. It goes well, until it doesn't. Despite Aizawa's warning to not overreact, both Midnight and All Might barely hid squeals when they first saw their students. Who could blame them? Their hero students were barely up to Aizawa's waist. Before Bakugo had the chance to literally explode with indignation, Aizawa butted in. Okay, before we go out, I need to set some ground rules. First and foremost, you 6 need to stay with your adults. That means Izuku, Bakugo, you stay with All Might, Kirishima, Yaoyorozu, you 2 stay with Midnight, Shinso and Todoroki, you stay with me. I know that you all know how to navigate the mall by yourself, but as hero students, you should be aware enough of the world to know that there are people who might want to hurt you if they see you wandering alone. You normally know how to defend yourselves, yes, but these bodies don't have that muscle memory. To keep you safe, we need you to stay where we can see you. Though none of the students looked happy to hear this, they couldn't argue with Aizawa. They had listened to lectures on kidnapping and had even stopped 1 or 2. It would be naive to think that just because they were hero students, they were invulnerable to the things that hurt children every day. That was the most important one. The next rule should go unsaid, but I'll say it anyway. Behave yourselves. This is an adjustment for all of us, and there will be moments where you feel frustrated or upset. I need you to deal with this like you would regularly, and if you can't, then tell us and we'll help you. That's also kind of the third rule. Talk to us. We're here to protect you right now, so if something feels off, tell us. Communicate with us in general. We want to help you. We got it, Bakugo yelled. Can we go now? The familiarity of Bakugo's shouting, though with a significantly smaller voice, brought some levity to the situation, and the kids broke apart and headed to their designated pros. Bakugo and Izuku could barely reach All Might's hands from the ground, so Izuku opted to let himself be carried while Bakugo followed alongside the 2 of them. Midnight held Momo's hand and Kirishima stood on the other side of Momo, forming a little chain. Aizawa, unamused, took Shinso's hand and tried to hold Todoroki's, but when the boy flinched away, he decided not to press and just kept a close eye on him. As they walked through the hallway, the group got quite a few stares. After all, 3 pros leaving the hospital with 6 kids in hospital gowns was not a common sight. Still, they made it to the exit without incident, but the gust of cold air that came when the door opened had the pros rethinking their plan. None of the children had coats or even shoes. All they had were the hospital gowns and the anti-slip socks. We'll buy you real clothes and shoes when we get to the mall, but for now, this is all we've got. I'll call a cab to get us to the mall. Though no one looked happy at the prospect of walking around in socks and hospital gowns, they all agreed that this was the most logical route. Aizawa had a bit of trouble getting a cab big enough for 9 people, struggling to explain to the taxi company why, no, the bus is not an option for our group. While they waited, All Might took turns tossing Izuku and Kirishima into the air, having been turned down by all the other students. Eventually, 2 large cars pulled up in front of the hospital, and the group split up and filed in. Aizawa mentally noted that for any more car trips, they would need to buy a few car seats, but decided against mentioning that. He didn't want this trip to turn into a disaster before they even got to the mall. When they did reach the mall, the first stop for the group was the shoe store. Aizawa had wanted the kids to be carried to the store, but Bakugo, Todoroki, and Shinso had refused. So Aizawa lifted Kirishima onto his shoulders while All Might carried Midoriya and Midnight carried Yaoyorozu. All of the adults noted the way that Midoriya buried his head in All Might's shoulder and covered his ears, and the way that Shinso clung onto the end of Aizawa's capture scarf. Because All Might had reverted to his skinny form and Midnight wasn't wearing her costume, they avoided some stares, but some mall-goers did point and whisper at the strange group. "Ignore them," Aizawa said when Yaoyorozu began to fiddle frantically with the strings on her hospital gown. "They won't hurt you." Bakugo, who had been uncharacteristically quiet for most of the trip, nodded with determination. "I'll blow anyone who even tries to hurt us to bits," he yelled. "Those extras won't know what hit them." Bakugo's outburst had attracted some more attention, but he seemed completely unfazed. "What are you looking at, huh?" All Might was the first to react, apologizing to the young adults Bakugo had yelled at before turning to face him. "Young Bakugo, I know that this is how you normally behave, but in this form, at least in public, you cannot act that way. We need to keep your actual identities hidden, meaning we need people to believe that you 6 are actually young children. If anyone finds out that you are hero students and that information reaches a villain, you could be in serious danger. Please, for you and your friend's sake, please try and behave as though you really are a child." Shame washed over Bakugo's face. "I'm sorry," he mumbled before taking the hand that All Might had extended to him. "I didn't think that would work," Kirishima whispered to Aizawa, and the teacher had to stifle a laugh. In all honesty, he had expected that to go much worse. They reached the shoe store with no more incidents, and the students all picked out shoes in appropriate sizes. Aizawa insisted that they all buy sneakers, steering the group away from anything they wouldn't want to train in, so that come time for them to burn off some energy, none of them would have any trouble running around like they normally do. Midoriya chose red sneakers similar to his normal shoes. Bakugo and Todoroki both went for black shoes, avoiding All Might's desperate attempts to buy them orange and blue shoes respectively. Shinso, to everyone's surprise, chose light-up purple sneakers, while Kirishima took the shoes that All Might had wanted Bakugo to have. Yaoyorozu seemed overwhelmed by all the choices, opting instead to let Midnight pick for her, and Midnight chose a pair of gray sneakers with rainbow laces for her. Clothes were a little harder, as there really were way too many options, and it was hard to wrangle all 6 children at once. But they ended up leaving with the 6 bags full of clothes, not including the outfits that the kids had changed into. While the kids were occupied, Aizawa had slipped away to a toy store and bought 6 stuffed animals, hiding them away to give to the kids later. The outfits they had chosen were mostly pretty similar to the normal outfits, with a few exceptions. Izuku had chosen more All Might merch than anyone thought possible, red, yellow, and blue overtaking his color scheme. Yaoyorozu chose clothes that were less formal than her normal wardrobe, and everyone pretended not to notice the midnight t-shirt that she shoved under a red sweater. Kirishima couldn't find much Crimson Riot merch, but decided on a lot of animal-themed clothes, mostly dogs and sharks. Bakugo and Todoroki had the least deviation from their usual wardrobe, but Shinso went all out. Anything with a cat pattern went into his cart. Eventually, Aizawa snuck in a few plain t-shirts just to make sure that there was something he could wear to class. They each picked out sweatshirts based on their taste. At All Might's insistence, as he refused to have them walking around looking like mini adults. The mall trip took a few hours, and by the end of it, everyone was hungry. So when they came across a taiyaki stall as they were heading to the exit, Aizawa saw no way this could end well. "Look, guys, taiyaki!" Kirishima practically shouted. "Please, Miss Midnight, please, can we go get some?" Before Nemure could fall victim to Kirishima's big pleading eyes, Aizawa stepped in. "No, you all need a real meal. You know that. Your stomachs aren't as big as they were, and if you have taiyaki now, you won't have room for food later." Though he hadn't thought his tone was harsh, Kirishima's eyes quickly welled with tears. "Shit." "It's okay, Kirishima," Yaoyorozu tried to placate. "We have some mochi at the dorms. You can have that after you eat." Her voice was somewhat frantic, which did nothing to help Kirishima. The tears trailing down his cheeks turned into sobs, and suddenly he was wailing, sitting down in the middle of the mall hallway defiantly. "Just let me buy it on my own," he cried. "No, Kirishima, we have to head back to the dorms now." Aizawa's voice stayed calm and even, crouched down to roughly Kirishima's eye level. "No, I have my own money. Let me go buy the taiyaki." He was tugging on Yaoyorozu's hand, trying to escape, squirming like a petulant child. "You aren't carrying any money right now, Kirishima. Come on, it's time to go." Bakugo, Shinso, and Todoroki were looking at Kirishima's meltdown with a mixture of confusion and horror, while Izuku and Yaoyorozu both tried to move towards Kirishima to calm him down. Kirishima couldn't listen to Aizawa's logic, though. His hunger and frustration and anger at his situation had created the perfect storm, and there was no stopping it. Seemingly realizing that there was no reasoning with Kirishima, Aizawa chose instead to lift him up, loosely wrapping strands of his capture scarf around the crying boy and holding him close to his chest. Gesturing for All Might and Midnight to take the other 5 somewhere else, he carried Kirishima over to a bench, rubbing his back and mumbling softly to the kid. It struck him then just how small his students were. Eventually, Kirishima's cries died down, and Aizawa pulled it away so he could look his student in the eye. Kirishima averted his gaze in shame, fiddling with his fingers. "It's okay, Kirishima. Look at me." Kirishima's eyes met his, and Aizawa had to stop himself from flinching when he saw how sad and swollen Kirishima's eyes were. He waited for a moment, trying to give the boy a chance to speak, but Kirishima only squirmed, trying futilely to escape the situation. "Kirishima, I'm not mad." That seemed to stop Kirishima in his tracks. "Why?" Aizawa's heart cracked a little at the genuine confusion in the boy's voice. "Because this isn't normal. Normally, yes, I'd be frustrated if a kid under my care, 15 or 5, had a meltdown in the mall because of taiyaki. But nothing about this situation is normal. You're 10 years younger than you were yesterday, and I'd be stupid to expect things to go perfectly. You don't have the same coping methods to deal with frustration that the 15-year-old you did. You have less agency than you're used to, and if I had to guess, I'd say you're hungry and tired and probably a little overwhelmed right now. It makes sense that you would react this way, and though I'm not happy about it, I'm not mad either. Honest? Kirishima's voice was barely above a whisper. Honest. With that, Kirishima threw himself at Aizawa, hugging him tightly and burying his face in his capture scarf. Neither of them acknowledged the tears of relief that soaked to the fabric of Aizawa's scarf. Aizawa instead choosing to stand up and find the rest of their group. Kirishima still held tightly to his chest. And then on here, on the fanfic, y'all, there is a link in my description. I think the links should be working now. But
they're not.
Abby, shut up. Anywho, there's photos of the kids' sweatshirts. So if y'all want to see those, click the link and go see what the author put. 'Cause, yeah. Hi guys, it's me from Wednesday. You just heard me from Monday, and my sister from Monday because she didn't shut up when I was recording because I share a room and that's what you have to deal with sometimes. But yeah, I am so sorry for how long it took me to get a video out. I feel kinda sorta really bad. But finals were kicking me in the butt and I honestly was really tired and really didn't want to. But here's a video. I recorded it Monday, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Also, bloopers here, there, boop. We got it. Why do I always do that? This is a child.